Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Jerusalem emphasizes phase 2 of Trump's 20-point plan will focus on Hamas's disarmament. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says the Islamic Republic of Iran, alongside Russia, China, and North Korea, is preparing for a long-term confrontation against the West. Germany's Air Force deploys Israel's Arrow air defense system. Pressure to expedite search efforts for the remains of the last deceased hostage in the Gaza Strip, policeman Ran Gvili, are intensifying. An Israeli delegation led by coordinator for the captives and missing persons, Brigadier General in Reserve Gal Hirsch, traveled to Cairo yesterday to discuss the matter with representatives of the mediating countries. Israeli officials have stressed that pressuring Hamas will undoubtedly realize the return of Ran Gvili for burial in the near future. It is important to point out that while the Palestinian terror groups are delivering on the return of all remains of all Israeli and foreign hostages to Israel, that after they had murdered them on October 7th of 2023 or during their subsequent time in captivity, nonetheless, the Islamist Hamas and its affiliated terror groups continue to violate the ceasefire on a daily basis.
IDF soldiers operating in eastern Rafah were attacked by several terrorists who emerged from underground terror infrastructure. Now, the encounter left 5 IDF soldiers injured, including 1 combat soldier in serious condition. The IDF acted to fight off this ceasefire violation by Hamas and struck a Hamas terrorist using precise intelligence. Prime Minister Netanyahu sent his wishes for a speedy recovery to our heroic soldiers who were wounded in that clash. And the Prime Minister emphasized that Israel's policy is clear. Israel will not tolerate the harming of IDF soldiers and will respond accordingly.
In an interview with the New York Times, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed Jerusalem's expectations vis-à-vis phase 2 of President Trump's 20-point plan for the Gaza Strip.
The second phase is to disarm Hamas and demilitarize Gaza. I think there's a third phase, which is to de-radicalize the Gazan population from 60 years of incredible incitement, incredible brainwashing, which has really has to be changed. But the first phase is you've got to get rid of Hamas. Now, that is going to happen in one of 2 ways. It could happen with an international force that the United States is trying to put together, and I hope they succeed. And if not, as President Trump has said, and I've said, it can be done the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is that we'll have to do it. I hope we don't, because I don't want to spend more blood and treasure, especially blood, of the Israelis, or for that matter, of Gazans. But if it needs to be done, Hamas can't stay there, and they won't.
In his interview with the New York Times, excerpts of which were released by the Prime Minister's office, also questioned the Prime Minister about Iran's nuclear program and whether the Islamic Republic remains close to acquiring nuclear weapon capabilities even after the June 12 days war.
Well, I think it's very hard to manufacture a bomb when your top scientists are knocked out. They had atomic scientists, and we knocked them out in the first 2 minutes of the war, along with their top command. We set them back. Does that mean that they won't try again? Of course they'll try again. But our focus right now is on the Iran axis, on their various proxies. On Hamas, let's finish the job there and open up a path for a different future for Gaza and for Israel. And the same thing is true of Hezbollah. I mean, we opened up the possibility of a change in Lebanon. I think it's also up to the people of Lebanon to seize the future of their own country.
The opportunities, which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke about, also referred to a meeting which Israel undertook under the U.S. auspices with the Lebanese delegation, which made significant headway towards economic cooperation.
The meeting took place in a good atmosphere, and it was agreed that ideas would be formulated to advance possible economic cooperation between Israel and Lebanon, a historic development. Israel clarified that Hezbollah is required to disarm, regardless of the advancements of economic cooperation. Now, both sides agreed to hold a follow-up discussion.
Meanwhile, in Beirut, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun hosted a delegation of UN Security Council ambassadors, during the course of which he did not publicly ask for help in disarming the defiant Iranian proxy Hezbollah, which has held the country hostage for several decades. Rather, President Aoun urged the visiting delegation to press on Israel to comply with international resolutions and abide by the arrangement that brought about the cessation of hostilities, despite the fact that all of the IDF's activities against Hezbollah in Lebanon have strictly upheld the ceasefire's framework. It is important to note that the visit to Lebanon by the ambassadors of UN Security Council member states follows a visit to Damascus, where they had held meetings with the de facto ruler of the ancient city, during the course of which the rotational president of the Security Council voiced the most powerful UN body's support for the Syrian regime and its leader.
We aim to achieve this mission was above all demonstration of the international community's solidarity and support for Syria. I think we reiterated our clear support for sovereignty, unity, independence and territorial integrity of Syria. And our united message was simple and clear. We recognize your country's aspirations and challenges, and the path to a better future of new Syria will be Syria-led and Syria-owned. And the international community stands ready to support you wherever you believe that we can be helpful.
It is interesting to know that prior to the visit by the UN Security Council ambassadors in Damascus, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan met with British Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper on the sidelines of the NATO Foreign Ministerial meeting in Brussels, during the course of which they discussed the situation in Syria extensively, including joint efforts to bring about Damascus's consolidation of power over all of Syrian territory. It is further important to point out that the Turkish intelligence agency, MIT, and the British intelligence agency, MI6, are accredited with grooming the Al-Qaeda-affiliated HTS and its leader, Abu Muhammad al-Julani, before the latter was effectively given Damascus, and has changed his name since to Ahmed al-Shara. Meanwhile, at the NATO summit in Brussels, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte told the foreign ministers of the North Atlantic Treaty Alliance that Russia, which is prosecuting a war of aggression against Ukraine, is working closely with China, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and North Korea to disrupt Western societies and tear up the global rules while preparing for a long-term confrontation.
Russia continues to test our deterrence. Russia has violated our airspace with jets and drones, conducted sabotage and sent spy ships into our waters. These actions are reckless and they are dangerous. And it's not Russia alone. It is working closely with China, North Korea and Iran to attempt to disrupt our societies and tear up the global rules. They are preparing for long-term confrontation. And we are responding with strength, unity and resolve.
Turning to Germany, where the Bundeswehr has become the first European military to deploy the Israeli-made Arrow air defense system, built to intercept intermediate-range ballistic missiles such as Russia's Oreshnik, amid growing threats to continental Europe. Inspector of the German Luftwaffe, General Holger Neumann, stressed that the deployment of the new Israeli system does not protect only Germany, but rather all of Europe.
This protects not only Germany, but also NATO command structures and reinforcement corridors on German soil, both essential to the alliance.
Israel's Ministry of Defense Director General Major General in Reserve Amir Baram seized the opportunity to stress Jerusalem's frustration over Berlin's arms embargo on Israel recently during the war against Islamic terror in the Gaza Strip.
Despite occasional political disagreements, military and technological cooperation is the foundation of our strategic partnership, which will only continue to grow in the years ahead. I also welcome the removal of the arms embargo on various components. Such an act should never have been imposed on an ally fighting murderous Islamic terror.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to also thank you if you are a supporter of TV7 Israel, since your donation is essential in helping us produce these daily news updates from here in Jerusalem. If you haven't yet supported TV7 Israel, which is exclusively donation-based, please consider doing so. You can donate via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, as ever, pray for our brothers and sisters facing persecution globally, along with prayers for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. Jonathan Hessen wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach. God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.